Today is February 8th, 1998. The survivor is Helen Berkowitz. The interviewer is Heidi Bratt. The city is Flushing, New York. Country, United States of America. This interview is being conducted in English. I'm Heidi Bratt, and I have the privilege of interviewing Mrs. Helen Berkowitz. Today is February 8th, 1998. The interview is taking place in Flushing, New York, in the United States. It's being conducted in English, and we're doing this for the survivors of the Shoah Visual History Foundation. Shall we begin? Okay, we're interviewing Mrs. Helen Berkowitz. Can you please state your full name and spell it for us?
This is my full name. Well, there's a maiden name, and then there, in Germany, after Hitler came, we had to use our Jewish names.
What is your full name? State it for us.
Helen Berkowitz, married name. Okay. That's about it.
Can you spell your maiden name and your married name for us, please?
Maiden name?
Eimer.
E-I-M-E-R.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I had to still start school in 1936, and they put me in school and with German papers, etc. So after a while, they decided I don't belong there. You must forgive me, I cry very easily, but a lot came from my surgery I had, and I can't stand it because I feel like a crybaby, but I'm not a crybaby. But you just don't get used to misery. During the Second World War, I was in Russia. Part of the time a forced labor camp.
What is your birthday, Helen?
Oh no, now you're getting real personal. Just joking. July 3rd. Which date is it?
Yeah, the year you were born.
Yeah, July 3rd, 1930.
How old are you today?
I was just recently, I celebrated my, please help me out.
67?
Yeah, you're right.
Helen, what was the name of the town you were born in?
Düsseldorf.
In what country?
Germany.
Do you remember anything about the town growing up there?
I don't want to remember. only brings misery into my feelings. And why? Only because I was Jewish. As a matter of fact, in 1938, I believe it was, my husband left already, huh? In 19, anyway, so
What was your mother's name, her full name?
Freude, Chaya Freude. Eimer, hat man.
What was her maiden name?
Narzissenfeld.
What about your father? What was his full name?
Mendel, Eimer.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes.
How many?
I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
What are their names?
The brothers were Louis and Eimer.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was Max Eimer.
And your sisters?
One I still have is Clara Safran. That's all, so that.
And you have another sister?
I had another sister,
And what was her name?
Bertha.
And where were you in the family? Were you the oldest?
No, the youngest.
The baby? Do you remember your address?
Yes. Number 4, Beutstraße. That's B-E-U-T. Street, I mean, abbreviated. And number 4 was a house number. As a matter of fact, in 1991, Düsseldorf invited us, paid for her, for my husband and me, to visit the city and to be there.
You went back in 1991. Was the house still there?
Yeah, but not the same.
They changed.
Well, the city had been heavily bombed, and the house was bombed. So, of course, it was not the same. I wouldn't have recognized it, but there was another lady there, my sister's friend, and I told her that she said, "Is there anything you want to see?" I said, "Yeah, my home." She said, "Come, I'll show it to you." And she took me to her. She knew my house better than I did, because she was much older than I was. So she remembered it, and so we went. It was terrible. Terrible.
What was terrible?
It was not where I was living. It was just...
Can you remember and tell us what it was like in your house when you were living there?
Yeah, sure.
What do you remember about what it looked like and
Oh,
what
I
the street
remember
looked like?
The outside was, we had a yard in the back downstairs. And
Was it a big house?
Well, it was 10 family.
A big apartment house.
Yeah.
And what about in your apartment? You were a big family.
I couldn't get in there, into the apartment. The lady who lived now there was away on vacation. So there was nobody to open up the door and let me in. I came the wrong time. They came at the right time. I came the wrong time. My father worked and slaved for that house. He was so careful about the house, no damage should come to the house. But afterwards, there was no protection.
Do you have any memories of playing around the house, or
Certainly.
can you tell us something you remember? When you were a little girl?
Yeah, I played with a German girl, lived in the house. But after Hitler came to being in full force, I wasn't allowed to play with her anymore.
Do you remember her name?
Laura, that I do not remember her last name. I was unable to see her when I was there in 1991. I would have loved to see her.
Do you know if she's still there, if she's still alive and still there?
Not that I know.
You didn't know.
She might be even afraid to see me, a Jew. Even though Hitler's not in power anymore and not doing it, but she might remember and may decide, no, I'd rather not. So,
You talked about your father, and he was very careful about the house. What did your father do for a living?
he imported kosher killed poultry from Holland. Because if you remember reading or what, Hitler also didn't allow kosher killed poultry to be sold for kosher food. So he took upon himself to make sure that everybody has kosher poultry. He couldn't go into the bigger animals because there was something with, he wasn't allowed to he wasn't allowed to handle the smaller birds. He was allowed to handle and deal with that, but not more than that.
So he began to do this after the decree that you couldn't slaughter anymore. That was in the early 30s. So he had his own business. What kind of man was your father? What do you remember? What did he look like? What was his character like?
I have a picture here laying on the table, I think. He was kind. He was very good looking. What else can I say? He was a perfect gentleman at all times.
What did he like to do? Did he have any, hobbies, interests? Did he like music or reading or?
He liked reading. Music, he liked, I preferred songs being sang. That doesn't sound right with the way I said it.
He liked singing.
Yeah. I wish I would remember some of the melodies that he sang the songs with, because we still sing the same songs. But even my sister does not remember the melody.
Do you remember the names of the songs?
No, they're all the same. Not all the songs, but they don't change from time to time. So when my husband will be here,
What? Do you remember what language he sang them in?
Jewish,
In Yiddish?
sure, sure. To my father, that was his native language. I mean, he spoke Polish too. He came from Poland. But when it came to singing so on, that was a different language.
Where was your father born?
In Poland, in Legensk.
And tell us a little bit about your mother. What did she look like? What do you remember about her?
Certainly. She was a very disappointed person in life itself.
Why?
Well, she had bigger expectations than life gave her, or that Hitler allowed her to have. And then why did she bother coming to Germany? It's because she wanted a better life that Germany could promise her. But who in Germany got those days what they promised?
Where was your mother born?
Poland, Galicia, not far from where my father was born. Yeah.
So they went to Düsseldorf together as a young couple.
I didn't go together there because my father was there and he had settled with his first wife, and he tried to make a home again and so on. But it wasn't easy for my father either.
So your father had been married before your mother, and what happened to his first wife?
She died.
Was your mother married before your father, or was that the first marriage for her
No, she was married before.
also?
Yeah.
And what happened to her husband?
He was sick, I believe cancer, and died.
What kind of Jewish life did you have in the
Düsseldorf?
town? Yeah.
All right. I started elementary school, but I was not allowed to start it in public. I had to start it in elementary classes, and they sort of kept the upper hand over us. In 1991, we were invited out back into Düsseldorf. So I got a letter from the government of the city. I should please be prepared to talk to the class. Now remember, I was only 78 years old when I left. How much can a 7-year-old talk about the past? So they said to me, the kids, I was hoping they'll get real young, like pre, no, I mean not pre,
Like fifth graders, fourth
Yeah.
graders, like
Right.
before they're teenagers.
Right. The only reason I was afraid to ask me very sophisticated questions, and how would I be able to answer them? So Well, it didn't work out the way I wanted it. I got kids college age, so wasn't that bad. They didn't ask me any sophisticated questions, and I handled them pretty good. So they said to me, do you think that this could happen again, or will it happen again? I said, it will happen again, and it definitely could happen again. So how could avoid it? I said, you have to try to do it through your children. And don't do it by silence. You can't do it by silence. So some of them ask me questions. How can we do? What can we do for what? I said, well, simple. If you are among other kids your age, and you see there's something going on, something boring, and what are you going to do? Walk away? I said, oh, that's not for me, that's for the Jews, for the old people. That's not for me. So they said, no. I said, don't say no. You weren't there. If you say no so easily, that's not a true no. When I came back and I told my sister what the discussion was and so on, she said I didn't handle it correctly. Sure, it was easier for her to say that. She was so much older. My sister was 21 years older than I was. And so she right away thinks differently.
Let's go back to when you were a little girl to see what you remember there. Do you remember Shabbos in your house?
Of course.
Can you describe it to us?
It was to the strictest form of orthodoxy. And see, I don't remember them being like here, reformed and this and that. We had one, as far as I know.
What did the Shabbos table look like?
Beautiful.
What was on the table?
We didn't have bone china. We didn't have only sterling silver. But our table looked beautiful. It was ours.
Do you remember what food you ate on Shabbos?
Oh, sure. We all ate the same. And we still do.
What was that?
Well, chicken soup, chicken, and puddings and so on. It was very festive, very festive. The Shabbat, we all looked forward to it. And we lived for it from one week to another. We lived for it to see it.
What about the holidays? Pesach, what was that like?
Well, that was a little bit more difficult because it only came once a week, 1 week a year, thank God for that. But it was memorable.
Do you remember the shul? Can you tell us about the shul and the rabbi? Do you remember the name of the rabbi?
I believe it was Rabbi Horowitz. But I'm almost sure that was the name.
How often did your father go to shul?
Daily. I think sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.
Was the shul near your house?
Yeah, it had to be near the house because my father wouldn't travel on Shabbat or on a holiday. So it had to be near the house. But how close to the house, I couldn't tell you. What I could promise you, when I come home today, after this finish, I will call up my sister in Lakewood, New Jersey, and I would ask her if she probably remembers how far the shul was from the house, and whether my father, I know he went daily. There's no doubt in my mind. Tell me something. How do the people respond to these stories, to these pictures?
To the pictures? You
Yeah.
mean to the
I don't mean
videotape?
to the family pictures. I mean to the general story. I mean, not these stupid people. Why don't let go already?
What do you mean?
Holding on to forever.
People want to tell the stories for themselves, for their children, for their grandchildren. So
True. I know that. And you see, my husband is I think a few years older than I am. He was born in 48. No, wait a minute, no. And he had a more normal life. He lived in poverty, but he had a more normal life than I had.
this is the end of tape 1. This is the beginning of tape 2. We are interviewing Mrs. Helen Berkowitz. Mrs. Berkowitz, are there any other childhood memories that you want to share with us? You remember about the town, growing up, playing?
Yes. I want to share with you. I'll let something else.
Dusseldorf was a big city.
Yes, still is.
Still is. Were a lot of Jews living there when you were there?
Yes. I can't give you the number how many. Either I didn't know at the time or don't remember it. But I know a lot of people lived there. They had several synagogues. So,
Did you go to school? You went to a? Did you go to a Jewish school?
I had no choice in that matter. Hitler wouldn't let me go into public school. I was registered to go start public school, And when I started it, he quickly changed his mind in the ruling, and I couldn't continue.
What do you remember about your school?
Discipline,
The
Which-
teachers?
nice people.
What do you mean discipline? Who taught you discipline?
The German type of discipline. I mean, everybody knows what Germany is well known for, discipline.
Do you remember anything in particular where an example of your being disciplined as a young girl?
Yeah, I could.
What happened?
Helen Eimer, decided I don't want to learn how to knit. I want to learn how to crochet. My mother crocheted. So I was quickly made to understand that this is not home. You do what we all do. That's finished. That's it.
Where did this happen?
In Düsseldorf.
Was this in the school with the knitting?
Yeah.
And was it who told you you have to?
A teacher. Sure.
What did she didn't, did she strike you or did she yell at you?
No, I remember she sent somebody in to class to get me out because I was misbehaving. Naturally, I was misbehaving. They want me to do what I didn't want to do. So I was misbehaving. So they had me removed from class. And that was it. I mean, here it may sound funny. Where would that happen? I've never heard of such a thing.
Were you the kind of little girl who liked to do what she liked to do?
I still do. Sure. My husband finally came to suffer. By the way, I see a picture here. Maybe you would like to see it. And there's a picture of our 3 older grandchildren. And I think it's a beautiful picture, of course.
We could take a look at it later.
Yeah.
So you were a stubborn little girl?
I had a sort of a mind of my own. And don't touch it. That's all. What's wrong with having a mind of your own?
It's very good.
It's good for development. That's where you are. And whether you're allowed to use it for development. I assume that these days there are many countries with similar problems. I don't think that in Russia they would encourage that. We were supposed to come to the United States in 1942. Because who expected a war?
Who was when you were in Germany, your father was planning and your mother was planning to come here in 1942? Did you have family here? Why did you want?
My older sister, Clara Safran, that lives now in Lakewood, she sent us the necessary documents that we needed to immigrate to the United States. But there again, Hitler started war, and we remained with the papers in hand. Some people didn't even have that.
remember what happened in 1939? What was going on? What do you recall happening? How did you know about the events, and what happened to your family? You were living in Dusseldorf at the time.
Are you talking or asking about the Kristallnacht?
Do you remember that?
Of course I do. I was there.
What do you remember?
Brutality. In one word, I describe the whole scene. Brutality.
What did you see?
What I saw, or what, I didn't hear the whole question.
What did you see?
Oh, what did I see? All right. My father came home that night from a trip with kosher poultry. And he decided to bring home the poultry, and then he came into the building, and he couldn't figure out, he was outside on the street. He couldn't figure out what's happening, and he saw officers, he saw some not normal things, but that's only if you want to see as not normal things. If you prefer to put the visors over your eyes, then that's it, and they become normal. So he ignored everything. And he said to somebody, no, he went into the house and he woke my mother up. Woke me up. And
What did he say?
mm-hmm.
What did he say to you when he woke you up?
Well, I thought he'd wake me up to go to school. The school was not one of my favorite places. So I got out of bed. But this was not what he had in mind.
Do you remember what he said?
No. So many years.
Did you see anything that was happening?
Yes, I did.
What did you see?
He went to the window to see what's going on. Oh, that's what really happened. He went to the window to see what's going on all around town. And he came back and said to my mother, relax, it's not very calm outside. And she sort of followed instructions. That's all. As far as I was concerned, I was the youngest one. And my father didn't want to put pressure on us. So in came a German officer into our apartment and said to my mother and me, just keep calm and everything will be okay. right now, I'm asking that certain officer, saying, would you have done that to your wife? Just stay calm? Who are you kidding? How can you stay calm in this kind of atmosphere? But of course, how many years later do I think of that? But then my mother started to cry for my father. Where is he? And I started to cry for my papa. So one officer came over to me and said, I would suggest you to stop crying and be quiet. You'll do better like that.
Where was your father?
He was within the building, but they had pushed him out off the balcony.
So did the Germans take your father out of the apartment?
Yes, yes, yes. With an ambulance, except with an ambulance, if you carry a person, you do it very slowly and carefully and so on. Well, he was sort of being taken on a handmade stretcher. And he didn't, he was scared too. He was scared for us. So he said to my mother, relax, everything will be okay. There was no way a person who lived in Germany those years could go through relaxing that scene there. And one officer came up to our apartment looking for the safe deposit key. So they came into my mother's bedroom, and my mother said, oh, my husband has it on him. So she said, no, the officer said, oh, he's already laying downstairs. Dead or alive? We didn't know. It was terrible. And the more I talk about it, the more the scenes wake up and the more real they become. When this will die out, I don't know.
Did your father come back to the house?
Suddenly, I heard an ambulance coming to our building and stopping. And I said to my mother, Papa is alive. They have an ambulance coming here. So I said, they don't take ambulance for dead people. So Papa is alive, don't worry. But he was barely alive. Look, he was 60. He was born in 19 what?
18?
Right. And this was 30, whatever. So he was not a young man. He was not a well person. He had asthma.
Did your father eventually come back to the house?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when I was there in Germany, I caught a lady who was living in our apartment. I ran over to her across the street. I said, my name was Helen Eimer. I used to live in this building. could I just please see the apartment I used to live in? That's all I want. He says, yeah, but the lady who lives in that apartment now, she's out of the country. She's not here to let you in. So I didn't get to see it. And it was bad I didn't see it. Thinking of it back now, it was better. It would be much too hurtful. So what have they gained, the Germans? You're looking at me like I'm crazy. What have they gained? They gained world recognition, to say the least.
What happened after your father came back after this terrible episode, this horrible incident? What started to happen from there?
My father was a very, how would I call him, accurate, punctual person. So when my mother came next day, she found her in hospital. So he said to her, I want you to go and get my gold pocket watch. And she said, fine. She tried, but there's a certain officer that took a liking to his watch and decided to take it away. So my mother said she went the next day to court to claim the watch. I guess I don't know why the importance of the watch so much. So there was certainly danger of her to walk around on the street. She didn't particularly look Jewish, but she was certainly not dressed like a German lady next day going to work. So if she wasn't dressed like that, then there was something wrong. As a matter of fact, the night after the Kristallnacht, my mother went to a friend. My father had many German friends, good friends, and went to a friend and said, I must sleep over here. I have nowhere else to sleep. He said, look, you know I can't do that. You know what will happen to my family and me if I let you come in here and sleep. She understood, and he gave an address somewhere in Holland. She should go there, sleep over there. He'll even give her money for traveling and so on. But it worked all right, not too bad. But how could, that's when I wasn't out there anymore.
Do you remember what happened? Did your family leave Germany?
Yeah.
When did your family leave Germany?
The day after Kristallnacht.
Okay. Who left and where did you go?
We went to Holland.
To Holland.
It was my oldest sister, her whole family, and I.
And where was your mother and father?
My mother became a refugee in Düsseldorf, like a refugee. She had a house, but She couldn't use her home. She couldn't use the money. Nothing.
And your father, where was your father?
No?
No, where was he then?
Then, well, they took him to a hospital. He recuperated in the hospital. And that was it.
You lived in Holland?
No. My father knew Holland because of his business, and he had friends there. So he sort of managed. He could manage to get around. And he looked Jewish. There's no way. He wore a little beard and a hat, etc. So there was nothing to that he didn't look Jewish. He looked Jewish.
Did your family go to Poland?
Yes. In 1938. Wait a minute. Well, you know, in 1939, but I know, there was, they arrested all the Polish Jews. And without documentation. Our documentation, my mother's passport, my father's passport, were by the Polish consulate. But we couldn't get to him. They were not validated, so we didn't have them.
Who went to Poland?
My parents and I.
Why did your family want to go to Poland?
We didn't want to go. We had nowhere else to go. I'm sure if you read any of the newspapers from those days, you probably had something that led up to it too. My mother did not want to go to Poland. She never liked Poland so very much. But it was a place she knew the language. It's a place where she had family. So she figured, all right, let me go. It was not a good idea.
What happened in Poland?
First of all, they met the Jewish people at the border, and they were trying to kill them right after Kristallnacht. I should have never agreed to this interview. I apologize. No, it takes a lot out of me. And at the time, I didn't think that it would take that much. But at that time, I didn't know I was going to have major surgery to recuperate from. So, what can I say now? Here I am.
What happened to your family in Poland?
They got killed one by one by one. I mean, they lived in Poland. They didn't have to move out into a different apartment. Only one person saved themselves besides my mother, because look, there's always a reason why people get saved, right?
This is the end of tape 2. This is the beginning of tape 3. We're interviewing Mrs. Helen Berkowitz. Mrs. Berkowitz, where did your family go after Poland? What happened to your family?
First of all, we were taken to a forced labor camp in Russia. And my father still had to work there, chopping down big trees. Chopping down big trees. It was a miserable life, miserable.
Your mother was there too. Did your mother do work as well?
Yes.
What kind of work did your mother do?
She also had something, she had to prepare the trees for further work. So she had her limit too.
And do you recall how old you were at the time when you were in the labor camp?
I was 8. In 48.
In 38, in
38.
Or 9 years old in 39.
Right.
Did you have to work in the labor camp?
I had to help.
What did you do? Who did you help? What did you do?
My parents are helped out, so they shouldn't have to work so hard. Yeah.
Do you remember where in Russia this camp was?
It was in the Ural Mountains. We could not go wherever we wanted. Because they had their own problems. They had war coming up against them too, with Hitler. I'm sure you learned and remember that episode.
What else do you remember about the labor camp? Do you what did you eat when you were there? Did you have enough food?
We had vegetarian dinners.
What did they feed you?
What they fed us and what we made of it.
What did you make of it?
Well, we had vegetables, we had mushrooms, we had whatever we could find or produce. That's what we had.
What season were you there?
What season?
Yeah.
Winter.
It was very cold.
Very, very.
Did you know any of the other families who were in the camp with you?
No. I mean, you get to know people.
Were there many other children who were there?
No, not too many.
Not too many.
No. We had no school, which is great for me. Just what I want.
So you had really nobody who was your age, really?
They lived in...
In the camp, in the labor camp?
No. I had several cousins my age that died because, I don't know, starvation or what. I never found out how they were. As a matter of fact, if you remember in 1930, wait a minute, they made the first Holocaust gathering in 1930, and I only went there for one reason, Maybe I can find some of my cousins from Poland. They're my age.
In Israel, the Holocaust gathering in Israel?
They had it in Israel, but I didn't go for Israel. I went, we lived in New Jersey then. So we did it that way. But I couldn't find anybody. Nobody.
Do you remember how long you were in this labor camp in Russia?
Total? Well, from 48
No, I don't remember. Do you remember where you went next after this labor camp?
Yeah, we went to Uzbekistan. By that time, the Russian borders got freer. You could travel easier. So they let us go to Uzbekistan. We couldn't still not go to Moscow or Odessa, no. But we could go otherwise, other places.
How did you travel from where you were in Russia to Uzbekistan?
Cattle trains.
You remember the journey?
Oh yes, I will.
Can you describe it to us?
We almost lost my mother there.
What happened?
Well, you see, in Russia, those days in Russia, it was very well known that you don't get away from your family. Don't try it. She didn't try it, neither did we try. But you will never find each other again. We did find each other.
How did your mother become separated from you and your father?
My father put her on a train, and he left her there with big suitcases and so on. So then she got off the train or something by a certain town, and that was it. So then she saw another train pulling into the station. She didn't know where the train came from, nothing. So she started to call my father's name. And he didn't answer, he didn't pay attention. So my father's friend heard my father's name being mentioned. So he said, Mendel, your name is being mentioned. It must be Frieda looking for you. So he stood there for a minute. He also heard it. And that's when it came to be. They were reunited. Because otherwise there was no way to get reunited. There were no telephones, no mail, because Russia was in a state of war. It was terrible.
What happened once you got to Uzbekistan? Where did you live there? What did your family do? What happened there?
Nothing much. We just settled down. We were given like little rooms, huts, like per family, depending how many people in the family. My sister here, she didn't even know where we are. She knew we were in Russia. That's that all. So what can be done about that?
Was your father able to work at all when he was there?
Well, he had to work, not able to work. He had to.
What did he do?
He chopped trees down. And not necessarily with electric saw or nothing like that. Nothing to make life more easier, more pleasant.
Did you ever go back to school in Uzbekistan?
Yes, I did. They opened a school for Polish kids. Even so, I was not considered Polish, but I was allowed to go there.
Did people know the family was Jewish?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were going to say something. Right?
What was the school like in Uzbekistan, the Polish, with the Polish children? What was that like going to school there?
Not too bad, from what I remember, and from what I knew about schools to compare.
What happened to your father?
At the very end,
Yeah.
he died.
Where was that?
He died in Russia. Typhus.
Before, in Uzbekistan? He got sick there?
A lot of people died there of typhus.
Do you remember what year it was he died?
Yeah, I have the date.
What date?
1942, I believe was February 16, something like that.
So it was just you and your mother left. And how did she take care of you? What did she do for money, for food? Did she work?
We sold things that we brought along for us, clothing, etc. And we sold that and had money to get things further going.
You and your mother left Uzbekistan eventually?
Sure.
Where did you go next?
From Uzbekistan, we had to remain in Russia. Couldn't travel very far.
Do you remember the day that you learned that the war was over?
How well? How well? My best day.
Could you tell us what happened, what you remember?
I remember it was immediately after ceasefire, the war. And that's all I knew that I could say that I remember.
Did you hear the news on the radio or in the newspaper, or people were saying, how did you find out? How did you hear about the end of the war, the ceasefire?
We heard under a newspaper that there's no more war. How it came to be no war, like who won the war, or who lost the war, or what, nobody knew. So that was it. No more war. It was a wild life. Nobody was anybody. Nobody had anything. It was like up for grabs. That's all that I can say.
You were 15 years old when the war was over.
Yep.
And in Uzbekistan at the time?
Yes.
Just you and your mother.
Mm-hmm.
What were your plans from there? What did you do next?
To go to America.
How did that happen?
Well, we tried to see how we can get there. My sister from here tried also what she can do for us to come there. And it happened. I mean, details I don't remember. Either don't remember or wasn't aware of them.
Your other siblings, they had already left Europe.
My two brothers left Europe before the war even started. They moved out of home. So that was it.
And they were living where, in what country?
South America.
South America. And one sister was living
In our home.
in the United States, and then your other sister was living...
She lived in Karlsruhe, was another city in Germany. And that's where she, her husband, and children remained.
What happened to her?
She lives in Lakewood, New Jersey.
In Lakewood, so
Yeah.
she left too.
Yeah. Eventually, everybody has to leave. You don't want to live among people that hate you. But why were they hating us? We were not criminals. I mean, take a look here among the blacks. They feel discriminated too. They feel they're being hated again. I look at them, I say, come, sit down with me and listen to what I have to tell you. And it's not just a story, it's real life. And you can see in their faces, doesn't mean a thing. You know, you can tell a person something, and depends what they want to hear. If they want to hear what you're telling them, they will. If not, they'll just put away. They'll let their minds go where they want to go, and that's it, finished. I'll tell you something. I don't know about, I can't generalize that, but I know when I came to America, I came from Germany. I was there in an orphanage. It was produced by UNRWA for all the children, not all, but a lot of the children that were saved after the war, and that's it. So we were put there into an orphanage. It was in Prien am Chiemsee, it was in Bavaria, beautiful town. It was really nice there. I just wish it wouldn't be Germany. But how can you change that? Except erase your mind. Make believe it never happened. That's only make-believe. That's not real. The real world, it happened. This is why I'm saying, how many of these people that will be seeing these film documentation, how many of them really believe, and will they really feel the way we felt? I doubt it.
You said you were in an orphanage in Bavaria. Where was your mother?
My mother arrived here earlier than I did. Yeah. My sister took her out and took her as a real mother, not stepmother. And so that worked out well.
Was your sister her daughter? Oh, it was from the father?
I was my mother's only child.
I see. I see. So she came here first, and you were in this orphanage in Bavaria. A lot of Jewish children there?
Yeah. They brought him in from all over. God bless you. They brought him in from all over.
And did you go to a DP camp?
Yep.
Was this after the orphanage?
Before the orphanage.
Before?
Let me think about it. I'm almost sure before the orphanage.
Do you remember the name of the DP camp?
Sure. Waldstadt. It was in Bavaria.
Did you do any work there?
Yes.
What did you do?
Waitress.
You were a waitress? Who were you being a waitress for?
Well, they had the children, the Jewish children that they survived. They were feeding them, so they were housing them. And then, so we had work if we wanted to work. We didn't have to work. But I was always a workaholic, so I didn't mind working. So.
Do you remember what day you left to come to the United States? You arrived here?
Yep, I do. As a matter of fact, I consider it my birthday.
What day is that?
September 16th, 1948.
Why do you consider it your birthday?
It was the happiest day of my life. As a matter of fact, you probably know that some of the German, the refugees, whatever you want to call us, we get money from Germany to build us up. So I went in September. I had an appointment with 2 doctors. And one was a psychiatrist. I was surprised and disappointed. So I went and I said to the psychiatrist asked me, what day is today? Date. And it was September 16th, what year are we in?
It was 97 before.
Okay. So I told him that. He said, how old are you? Where were you born? And I should have thought. I didn't think of my new birth date. I told him that, anyway, he said to me, well, then I came home and I got in touch with a lady who arranged an interview with a doctor, with a psychiatrist, and I told her, you know, I didn't do this so well. I should have thought about it. She says, why don't you call him up? It's a good idea. Called him up. He said, send me a letter with a note. Okay. You know, everything is these days so sophisticated. Maybe he wanted me Xerox, not Xerox, but send him some documentation. But I don't know. Why write? Why a note? You know, I don't ask questions anymore.
When you came, where did you arrive when you came to the United States?
New York.
And who was here? Was your sister was here and your mother was here?
Yep.
Did you start going to school when you were here?
Yes, but not immediately. I did go almost immediately for American, not American kids, no, to learn to Americanize yourself. Or whatever that meant.
Where did you live in? Did you live in Queens or?
Oh, I lived in Irvington, New Jersey. Same city as my sister lived in.
Did you start to work right away?
As soon as I could find a job.
What did you do?
I remember I was working in a company that was sorting out combs by the size and so on. So that's what I did. Which was great, a great job for a beginner. No language, no experience.
And how long did you work that job?
I would say about 2 months.
And then?
I went on to whatever else I could get. It was not easy to get jobs then, because the soldiers came back from the war. We came here, and then skilled people we were not intellectually, not in no way. So it was not easy to get a job. And when you had it, I worked in a bakery. I don't know right when, but I did work. I loved it. As a matter of fact, here on Main Street is a bakery, and before I had surgeries in my leg and so on, so I went in there one day and said, I'm looking for a part-time job.
Okay. What?
Yeah. How many days? What do you want?
Okay. This is the end of the third tape.
Okay.
Yes. This is the beginning of tape 4. We're interviewing Mrs. Helen Berkowitz. God bless you.
Thank you. I think he did bless me already with a cold.
Mrs. Berkowitz, you were telling us a story about a bakery on Main Street here.
So meanwhile, since I started working in bakery in Newark, I got my real estate license. Was selling real estate, and so anyway, suddenly I come home and I tell my daughter. I went into G&I got myself a job. Mommy, please don't take the job here. You are way above it. Me? So I said, what do you mean? Mommy, please don't take the job. Well, she changed her mind very quickly. Because her friends didn't like the bakery. And they came back to her and it said, your mother makes a world of difference in the bakery. It seems that the owner of the bakery didn't treat children very nicely. If a child came and saw a little cookie, she said, give a cookie. How much is a cookie? Charge them a little bought meal on a loaf of bread, but give the child a cookie. So she didn't know anything, but afterwards, these same people came into my daughter's home. I want you to know, tell your mother she makes a world of difference in the bakery. Something good came out of that too. And I didn't give anything away in the bakery. It's not mine to give away.
Mrs. Berkowitz, did you wind up getting married?
I wound up getting married, whatever we call that.
How did you meet your husband?
He was in the Korean War. And we have mutual friends. And his friend came over, and I worked in the bakery once again in Newark. And his friend came over to me and said, Helen, I have a friend in the army. He's coming home for a little visit. I would like you to meet him. I said, I'm not interested in meeting soldiers. Finished. Well, I thought it was finished, but he didn't. So, a week later, a few days later, I don't remember how many, Harry was on the way to Korea. He came to say goodbye to his friend. And his friend calls me up, Helen, remember my friend I told you he's expected in? Well, he's in. Can we come up? I said, yeah, why not? I said, come. And he's still coming. He's having now a very hard time with me. He likes to, he can't stand me being self-sufficient. He needs somebody to take care of, and I can't stand being taken care of. So we make a good combination, huh? Cancel each other's throat.
When did you get married?
In 52, May 8th, 52.
Did you
And
have?
then he went to Korea War, yes,
Then he went to-
fight.
You have children?
Have grandchildren. These are my 3 granddaughters. And they're marvelous.
What, do you have sons, daughters?
No, I have 2 daughters and 2 sons.
What are your daughters' names?
Last name?
No, what their first names, your daughters?
Florence Furter and Pincus. Our son-in-laws are so good to us. They're like the sons that we never had our own.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
11.
11 grandchildren.
Yeah.
You worked as in real estate. Did you have another job too?
I have another job. How many jobs can one kind of woman hold down?
Were you a bookkeeper?
Yes. Did I mention it?
Yeah.
Oh.
You live in Queens, and do you also have another home?
Yeah,
Where else do you live?
in Israel.
Where in Israel?
Yerushalayim.
When do you live there?
And let's say we plan on going there, back there around Passover, and stay there till after Passover. We have no rules, no set dates, when to go, when to come, nothing, whenever we feel like it.
What do you like about the life in Yerushalayim?
It's ours. Nobody will come and throw us out. No one. From young to old, everybody will fight for this little land, and for each block, for each thing, we will all stand up and fight. There used to be a show on television in the 50s, I think, maybe even earlier, Stand Up and Be Counted. Never heard it? I didn't think you were that old. So we usually come back here after Rosh Hashanah, and we're now just about getting ready to go back there. But it makes it hard, very difficult. We did not select an easy life. It was much easier to live here and be here, and that's it. But then what is easy in life to begin with? What one thinks is easy, the other thinks difficult. This film would be much better and easier if we would have everything in one place here. But we didn't. We chose that, so we have to keep quiet about it. That's it. Right or wrong? We have wonderful daughters. One daughter was supposed to be here with her children.
I think they're going to come later.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's 50 years since the Shoah happened, more than 50 years.
Like,
Do you have a statement that you want to make to the world, to your children, about your experience and what you want people to know?
don't follow anybody like Hitler or Stalin was. That's the only thing that I can think of. And my husband may have different thoughts. That's my only thought. Excuse me.
Mrs. Berkowitz, why did you want to do this tape today?
Why did you emphasize today?
Well, now, why did you want to do this tape?
Oh. Well, I would say primarily because my husband, he lost a lot of people. The very, very closest to him. And it should be done. I never pretended to be the smartest one. And if so many other people do it and think they're convinced they're doing the right thing, I could not argue about it.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else you want to say?
No, not really.
Okay, then thank you very much for your interview.
Thank you for coming and having patience with me.
It's my pleasure to interview you.
Thank you. Who's paying who for this? The
Okay,
Spielberg?
who is in this photograph, Mrs. Berkowitz?
That's my father.
What's his name?
Mendel Eimer, E-I-M-E-R,
And when was it taken?
1938,
And where?
Düsseldorf.
And who is in this picture?
Also my mother,
What's her name?
Frieda Eimer.
And when was this photograph taken?
Approximately 1938, 39.
And where was this taken?
Exact place where?
What city?
Düsseldorf.
And this photograph? This photograph?
Oh, this is one of the ones that we just made, right?
Who's in the picture?
It's my father.
And his name?
I only had one man, one father.
What was his name? Tell us again.
Mendel Eimer.
And where was the photograph taken?
Düsseldorf.
Can you tell us who's in this photograph?
Yeah, that's my on the right. That's my sister class, Safran. And this was taken 1939.
And seated in the middle?
Seated in the middle is my father. Should I say our father? It's our father, Mendel Eimer, taken 1938 or 39.
And standing next to him?
Standing next to him is my my brother, Luis. He lived in Argentina.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and in this picture, that's a photograph of,
Can I see it?
yeah. Is that your mother?
No, that's me.
This woman here. Okay. Who is that woman?
That's my mother. It was taken in 1952, approximately, in Newark. Newark.
Newark, New Jersey.
Yes.
And what was your mother's name?
Friede Eimer, E-I-M-E-R.
Okay, and in this picture, Mrs. Berkowitz?
That's, I'm on the right of the picture. My neighbor's then Helen Eimer. And right next to me was my husband-to-be, June 8th, 1942. Right, right?
52? Okay, can you tell us about this picture, Mrs. Berkowitz?
The big one?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the right is Michael. He's 11 years old. Right, Harry? 13.
Next to Michael?
Next to Michael is his beautiful mother, Florence Fruchter. Who makes us very proud.
Mm-hmm. And the little girl seated with the glasses?
Oh, those are my granddaughters. That's Nava. Wendy is here.
Yeah, but you talk.
This is Nava Pincus. And this is Rine Fruchter. She is the mother of this combination. That's Alisa Pincus, this one.
And you're sitting next to her.
Right.
And next to you is,
I'm sitting here. So.
your husband, Harry, right?
Right.
Who's on Harry's lap?
Who's on Harry's lap?
Who's the little girl on Harry's lap?
This one?
This is your granddaughter?
Yes.
What's her
Oh,
name?
yes.
What's her name?
Haviva Pincus.
And who's this?
That's Florence's number 3 daughter. She only has 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And
this? This boy?
and that is Mindy's husband, Gershon Pincus.
This is Gershon.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this is
Mindy.
Mindy. And this is this?
Right, Florence. And that's Florence's husband.
It's a beautiful family.
Absolutely.
Everybody's there.